All right, welcome back. We're going to talk about qualitative graphs, okay? And where we're going to begin is we're going to actually define what a qualitative graph is. Basically, a qualitative graph are graphs used to represent situations that may not have numerical values or graphs in which numerical values are not included. So these are examples of maybe situations where no numbers are included and just a visual on a graph is included, okay? So the first example I have here is I think of when you take a bath, okay? So over a period of time, you'll notice time is on my x-axis, and water level, how high that level is going to be on my y-axis, okay? So I think about it, I start here, the bathtub is empty. After I start running my water, so the bathtub will slowly start to fill. As it fills, notice that my time is increasing that I'm in the bathtub. Okay, so as the time is increasing, the water level is increasing. I typically get to a point where the bathtub is full enough with water, so I turn the water off. But notice the time continues going on because I'm sitting in the bathtub doing whatever it is I do in the bathtub, cleaning, all right? But the water level itself is not going up. So even though the time is going up, the water level is staying the same, okay? Then I get to a point where I'm done with my bath, so I get out, and what happens to my water level is it begins to drop because I begin to drain it. And once I drain the bathtub, it comes down back to where it was at before, which is empty, all right? Now we use three different words to describe each of those kind of functions, okay? So we have an increase, so when the graph is going up, we're going to have an increase. When the graph is flat like this, we refer to that as no change. Okay? And then when you see a graph that's going down, we're going to use the word decreasing. So the water level was increasing as the time was increasing when I was filling the bathtub. The time was increasing, but the water level stayed the same, so there was no change in the water level. And then lastly, the water level and the time continued to increase, but the water level was decreasing, all right? So three words that we're going to help describe these qualitative graphs are increase, no change, and decreasing, okay? So I have another example here just below, okay? And I was downloading this song the other day, all right? And so I'm going to use time and percent of download to represent that situation, okay? So when I started, before I started, there was no time and there was nothing downloaded. So I selected what it is that I was going to download and my time began running, okay? Notice as the time ran, my percent of download increased. So this would be an increase right here, all right? Then after a point in time, it got to a stop. It stopped. I hit pause because I was trying to do something else. So I paused the download. Okay, and so nothing was being downloaded over this period of time. Okay, so the time was increasing, but the percent of download stayed the same, so there was no change. I then hit resume, and I began recording again. So my increase again on the percent of download. Again, I found a point to pause it, so I paused my download again. I got this flat, no change. And then lastly, I have this smaller line that wasn't quite as steep as the other ones, but I was still downloading, okay? But I was downloading at a less speed. And so it was still increasing the percent of download, but it was increasing at a less speed. Because if you take a look at the slope of this line compared to the slope of this line, my download speed was much slower here than it was here. So I had an increase, no change, increase, no change, and then an increase. And notice that I'd probably get to a point where I would stop, all right, because it would completely download.